You are listening to the Built to Grow podcast.
All right, welcome back to the Built to Grow podcast. I'm your host, Tim Lyons, in studio, a non-COVID edition with no social distancing with two guests today. Welcome to the show, Mr. Zach Columbia. How are you?
Good, man.
And as always, our co-host, Randy Angston, with no nickname
No
anymore.
nicknames no more.
So much easier.
What?
We got rid of the nicknames at about 5 episodes
120
ago.
or so, yeah.
Man.
We had to get rid of it.
It's too hard to come up with new material.
It's hard to come up with topics, and then you got to come up with a name, too. Are you kidding me? So anybody that's ever done a podcast, I mean, we're into the 120, what is this?
125, 124, somewhere there. So.
Guys, it gets difficult. Like, I made a post the other day. You know, we've been only at this for maybe a year and 2 months.
Maybe. I think it was April.
Yeah.
I think last April we started doing.
It's crazy that we've
new
just
topics.
pumped this out. I mean, I don't think we've repeated. Maybe we've like touched on some stuff and come back and forth. But guys, thanks for sticking with us and giving us those great reviews. We do appreciate those. One thing to note before we get started today, we do have our CLA workshop coming up on June 11th and 12th. I do want to note that. I don't want to pitch it too hard. We did get a bad review in regards to it seems to be a little pitchy, but
trying to pay for the podcast.
Hey,
but,
we have no sponsors, so we might as well use this podcast to let you know about what we're doing. And that workshop is happening on Zoom, a virtual workshop, 2-dayer with me, yours truly, and we're going to go over all of your automation, something that we use here at Pulse. Zach uses it every day.
Yeah.
And we actually built one for Profit too, for our own internal system. So something to, if you're interested in that, take a look at pfmarketingsolutions.com/automation. But on this show, I wanted to bring Zach Attack in to talk about some of the big changes that we've made to our model and why, and how gym owners out there that are in this kind of transition phase, what they can do, and how we analyzed our business model to make some decisions and some changes. And so one of the major changes, and I've spoken about this a couple times now, is that we've decided to slowly phase out our team training, which is our large group training. Some people call it boot camp. Some people call it large group training. That's our, lower price point. For us, it's $149. We just recently moved that to $165. And we decided, you know what, it's just not a good fit for us. We don't feel like it's going to carry the business through. And as we change our models, and a lot of cool things to talk about, coming up with some plans for Pulse and what we're doing here in the Valley. But let's talk about that for a second. So, Zach, what, as a fitness director in the seat of almost as a gym owner yourself, you're in doing the things that a gym owner would do. What, when you brought this to my attention, what were the things you were really looking at?
Well, I mean, obviously we have to tread a little lightly here because some of our members listen to this podcast, but on what we say. But I mean, we are a business, right? So you look at the finances, and we take all of our team training memberships, like you said, lower price point, add them all up, and we realize, hey, that's like 10% of our revenue. Mm-hmm. So how many hours are we devoting on the schedule and taking a coach away from being able to service semi-private training sessions? And what's the impact as far as revenue goes? Right. And so, if you're a gym owner and you don't have enough clients, then whatever. You just want to have people in the gym, and you don't care whether they're doing team training or semi-private training. But if that's not your issue and you're looking at it and going, hey, I've got this great problem, I don't have enough availability for my higher paying clients, then you have to start kind of calculating, and so that's really my path to it, is looking at the schedule and going, man, like for instance, our 6 a.m. is just popping, and it's jam-packed for semi-private training and for team training. And so we look at that and we're like, well, you can't hire a coach to bring in and have them do 1 hour
class, yeah.
But that's that busy time. So you look at, okay, if we do a class, now we have had to reduce our class sizes, with COVID. But if you do a class and you've got 20 boot campers in there, and then you've got 5 people doing semi-private training, Well, we're making more per hour on those 5 people than those 20 people by far.
Yes.
So really doesn't make sense for us to offer both, you know?
Yeah, and those are some tough decisions you have to make as a gym owner, is because you don't want to take revenue out. Just
take it off the table.
We had that conversation,
like,
you
do
and
we
I.
do this and lose it? And then we had to analyze what is it that this is actually bringing in for us.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to have some tough conversations when we did that. So we weren't quite ready to just wipe it out completely. So talk about how we phased it out and what we're doing.
Well, right. And so, the other side of it that I didn't mention is we also have to look at the results that our clients are getting as well, and the semi-private training is a much more specific, client-oriented program. It's really a program, whereas like team training is just a workout. It's like I come in, I get my butt kicked, and if you look at the comparison of results, your semi-private training clients are going to get much better results because it's specific to them. And then the people that are coming in, they're loyal, but they're not getting near as good as
talking
results.
About
the team training, right?
Yeah.
And so that's the other side of it too. And so you look from a value standpoint as a business, what value am I providing for the members? And I'm providing a much higher, value and service to the small group than I am to the large group.
Right.
And that kind of leads into what you were asking me, is what we decided to do is phase it back, or phase it out and reduce the number of classes we had, for our large group training. And by doing that, we're hoping that we gave everybody like a temporary upgrade, right?
Yeah, we touched on that a little bit.
So they can do semi-private training. They get a little taste of it, and they can see, hey, this is a way better service. If I'm coming in and I'm doing strength training twice a week, and then we only have our classes on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then one on Saturday. Yep. So we reduced it by 50%.
So our schedule, just kind of let everybody know, it used to be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Yep.
We would have two in the morning, 1 in the afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 15 for the weekdays, and then we had another 2 on Saturdays.
Yeah.
Now we're down to Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, just 1 on Saturday, and we ended up taking away that Tuesday, Thursday, 6 a.m. so we can replace it with semi-private training. And since we've done that, how are the semi-private training sessions at that 6 a.m. prime spot on the Tuesday and Thursday?
Well, I mean, so we just did it, but there's, now we're servicing 6 people per coach, right? And you have overflow, because before it was 5 people, and that was it. Those same 5 people were on the schedule Tuesday, Thursday. They had recurring appointments. Nobody else could come and train at that time. And now that we open that up, you're starting to see those time slots fill in, real quick, because that's a very desirable time. And, to go back, Tim, when I took over as the director, we offered 4 team training classes Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
4 a day.
Yeah.
4 a day.
Packed. Yeah, well, packed on the schedule.
Yeah.
But it really reduced what we could do with semi.
Exactly. And, if you have, from a staffing standpoint, like you have to have 2 coaches on the floor. So if you have a 6 a.m. class and a 6 p.m. class, maybe, in the 6 p.m., I don't need 2 coaches on the floor at, 4 p.m., 5 p.m., 6 p.m., 7 p.m., 8 p.m., but how do I bring in somebody for 1 hour just to do team training?
What happens is
semi-private
you
training.
Take away semi for that
Yeah,
hour.
you lose
it.
Yeah, you lose the value of what that hour is worth in a semi-private situation. As I'm following along, because I'm not part of a lot of the conversations you guys have, I see the results, right? And we catch up each week on it. And in phasing out, in making the transition, right, do you feel like because again, you've given the team training clients the opportunity to train semi-private. With the changes that you've already made in those specific time slots, by reducing what you have in team and allowing those classes, in changing the model, you've added additional slots for team small group as well.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel, or and maybe you have the hard math on it already, that with the reduction of those classes, you've already made up the loss by the additional small group that's already taken place in those time slots yet? Or do you feel like that's coming because of the people that are in those classes that will ascend?
Yep.
Well, it's probably a little too early to tell. But it's a totally different mindset.
Sure.
You know?
Absolutely.
I mean, and it's, you've got the person that it's not a budget issue, right? They just love coming in and getting their butt kicked, and they're like, nah, I'm not going to, they don't even want to take us up on the semi-private. And that's that's maybe 10-15% of our large group training. You know, they just love that. They have that boot camp mentality. They want to come in, they want to get crushed. They love the energy, and they just want to, bounce. And then the rest, they're all doing the team training because that's the price point for them, right? And so to get those people to go from, for us it's 165 a month. We just raised the rate, so 165 a month. To get those people to go from 165 a month to 365 a month for the membership that we really want them on, where they're training twice a week, and being able to come to the classes a couple times a week, that's a hard sell.
Well, let's kind of touch on that a little bit, because how have you, and I know what you guys are doing to transition that, but explain a little bit to everybody else how you're kind of transitioning some of the programming, like you were talking about. Like you have to still provide some of that metabolic conditioning aspect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not like you just removed all of that from everybody and you've got a strength training or barbell based gym.
We're close on changing that as our programming. We're not quite there yet. We do have some things to kind of hash out.
Sure.
But we teased about it. I don't think we're ready to really discuss it. We spoke with a couple of our Iron Circle clients, Jerry and Casey. We told them the play. They like it. They had some questions for us that we need to go back to the table. But the funny thing about what's happening now is you look at semi-private training as the foundation of the entire business.
Yeah.
For us, it's always been 80 to 90% of our revenue anyway. And then you look at the 8,000 square feet that we have here, and we come to a pretty quick realization, we don't need this space to run this model. And so what's really cool is you can actually make a lot more money and have a better service in a much smaller footprint. And then as we start to kind of phase out of this location, we've now got way more options to either reduce the size of this one, stay here, or go to other places. And then our profit margin skyrockets because the rent we're paying in this space is, we're in North Scottsdale. It's high. We got a great deal on this space, but we're still over $16,000 a month. You cut that to 8, and things are a lot different.
Oh, absolutely.
So for businesses out there looking at your model, do you really need the space, or do you really want to do semi or team training boot camp style, or do you think maybe semi-private training is the way? And
this goes back to a lot of the conversation we've had in probably this beginning of this year, where the transition has gone from kind of big gross numbers to really understanding and running a little leaner to increase that net profit. And so, for those that are listening, this is exactly how these guys have gone about all of that. It's looking at where all those expenses are and then where that income revenue is coming from, and it's a mathematical problem.
I think we talked about it in January. Our goal for the year was net profit, not gross revenue. It's net profit, and we're doing a lot of things to get there. A lot of things,
even with the adversity of this year's
brought. Yeah, for sure. So real quick before we go, I want to go way deeper on that. I want to tease everybody. Zach came to me probably about a month and a half ago, about 6 weeks ago. He threw this piece of paper in front of me. He's like, read this. And he's like, I'm writing a book. You're writing a book? What are you talking about, writing a book? And he's like, yeah, I want to write a book about being a director in this role. And he called it Directing Fitness. Directing Fitness was the name. And I was like, wow, that's fucking awesome. That's awesome. How many gym owners would love to have a Zach or one of your employees come to you and say, hey, I see what you're doing with ProFit, or I see what you're doing with the gym. I want to be a bigger part of it, and I want to write a book, and I've already, it's almost done. Here it is. I don't want to share it with you yet, but I'm excited about it. talk about this book, man. This
Yeah.
is like blew my mind. I told Randy,
Yeah,
he's
we
like,
talked
dude,
about it,
Zach's writing a book about being a fitness director. It's amazing. So take me like through that journey.
Yeah.
Ever written a book before?
No, of course not. It's one of those things where it's kind of multifaceted. You know, like one, it's very therapeutic. You know, it's a challenge dealing with all of these, members and clients and all the issues and everything that goes with it. And so being able to go home at night and, put my son to bed and it's like 9:00 and I'm just like, all right, I'm going to, this is what happened today. And this is, the scenario and the challenge and how I handled it, or thinking about our systems and all of that. But my kind of motivation for doing it was, we got it going on here. I mean, let's be honest, like, not to toot our own horns, but we run a really strong model, and it's something that, for gym owners out there, if we're able to just say, hey, here's your playbook, like here's your guidebook, Tim, you do that with the marketing and with the coaching and all of that. If I can provide that exact same thing to the gym owners that you're working with, for them to give to their director and say, like, here you go, man, make this happen.
Yeah.
And like how that's a no-brainer.
We talk about all the time. Everyone's like, oh, can I get it? Where do you find a Zach, right? Like, that's the
well,
unicorn.
You don't find a Zach.
Exactly.
Zach came in as a coach here, and he, over the test of time, he's gone through being in the afternoon and in the morning and training clients, and sometimes he would take over a shift or working with more and more clients. And you all have that in your gym. You've got this coach, or you hope you do. Let's be honest, it's not normal to have a coach. We've got coaches here that I wish would do more, but let's be honest, there's some just want to be the employee. Zach is different. He's like, he came from a business background in school, and he's always stepped up. And when our last fitness director took another job, we got a call from the Pentagon to go take a job training.
Nobody's mad about
taking him out of our role. I mean, I couldn't compete with the the United States government. Our old fitness director, he got a role training special forces units for the Air Force. He came from that world. And then we had two coaches, Mike and Zach, were kind of the next in line. And we interviewed both, and Aaron interviewed both, and I talked to so many people, but Brent is the one. He goes, I think you need to give Zach a hard look on this. I think of the two, I think Zach's the better choice. And I wasn't leaning either way, but I was almost leaning a little bit towards Mike, because Mike was a little bit more personable with me and kind of telling me this is the role he wanted, whereas Zach was just doing his job and doing the right thing.
Oh, I can see that from almost a distance, right? Like Mike presented, I don't want to say the obvious
talk
things,
about
but
this in the book.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah,
And
I would agree. Zach was kind of the strong silent type in that situation,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And I think that the value at the end of the day that he brings to the table.
I made the right choice, and I knew I made the right choice fairly early when he started analyzing the business from what I would be doing, but he was doing. And I couldn't be up there. That's when Profit was skyrocketing, and I didn't have any time. And I was the one running campaigns with you, and you're building fun. There was just too much to do. Yeah. And Zach, I remember like the first 2 months he was in, he's like, I maybe saw you 3 times, like the whole time. He was like doing it. But so Zach stepped up, and he's continued to step up and continue to bring a different viewpoint of the numbers, and you don't find that very often. And so Zach coming to me with the book and saying, hey, I think I could be a big asset to the Profit side, where you're working with a gym owner that wants to get out of that role, and we could backfill it with a fitness director type person. And I think it's great. Like, I don't know when this book is coming out. It's editing. It's editing right now. Yeah. Grinding. But it's for gym owners out there. Like, wouldn't you want a a Zach or a fitness director type person to take the reins, so you could either open up a second location and then you could start to get that one off the ground. There's so many opportunities. You don't have to do this all yourself. It's putting the right people in the right seats on the bus. And, we talk about that in our coaching, but like that's what you need to groom. And so you don't just hire somebody off the street.
Yep.
Like Zach has been here. How long have you been here now?
5 years.
5 years.
4 years, 10 months. 14 days.
13 days, yeah.
This guy is counting the days. But you know what? As he's here, and I go to Zach all the time, and like I just need him to update me with the numbers and stuff, and then we get deep in the weeds on these conversations, and we make massive decisions together. We've got some major changes. It's going to be freaking amazing.
It's
We're
awesome.
going to take over the whole valley. Watch out. So that got off topic, but I wanted to kind of let everybody know that's listening, gym owners, that we've got a kick-ass book coming your way. I've read some of it, and it starts the first line of the whole. I was like, where are you going with this book? the first sentence in the whole book says, "My name's Zach. My wife is hot."
Dun, dun, dun.
and then he goes on with the rest of the story.
Yeah,
So it's a pretty cool story. But that's the story of Zach. But now you've heard him. This is twice. But our Iron Circle clients are always asking me about what Zach's doing.
Yeah. So just to kind of go back to when that whole like interview process when Brent was leaving and it was down to Mike and myself and.
Yep.
I asked myself, if I were in Tim's shoes, what would I want from this position?
Mm-hmm.
And nothing against Mike. I think he's a great guy, but what I saw was him running in your office all the time and saying, oh, this is what's going on. We should do this. And it was almost like kind of drawing attention to himself and like, oh, I identified this issue or whatever. And I said, you know what? I'm going to take the opposite approach of that, because if I were in Tim's shoes, I'm busy. I got ProFit. It's exploding. I don't have time for that. So I was like, I'm just going to handle it.
Yeah.
I'm just going to think about it. If I'm the gym owner, what would I do? What decision would I make right here? And I'm just handle it. And so, that was really kind of where I started. And, I talk about that in the book, so I don't want to get too.
Yeah, don't
give it all away.
Yeah, but that's really the thought process. And we were on a call yesterday with a couple guys from the Iron Circle, and, they basically were telling us, you're looking for the closest version of yourself that you can find as a gym owner.
Yep.
And, I think that we're pretty similar in a lot of ways, and that's kind of why we have a good deal going.
Yep, for sure. So thank you, and for going back to the changes as a gym owners that are still closed. This is your opportunity to really dive deep in the numbers. Had a call this morning with somebody that was in our workshop. This was our last call for this. But we it's funny, those CLA workshop calls are supposed to be about keep and automation, but they go into coaching
all the time. Sure,
they go into business coaching. So she came and was like, we do, what do you do with your prices, and what do you? We do a lot of classes, and we're thinking about semi-private training. I said, here's what you need to do. One, get all your numbers together. Look at your attendance per class. Look at your revenue per member. Who's driving the revenue? Who's staying the longest? Get all that first. Then put it over here on the side and look at and visualize what you want out of your business. If you can snap your fingers and this is really what I want my business to look like, and make the decisions based on the numbers, on the changes you're going to make, but you're going to be able to do that right now. This is the only time you can pull this off. This is the thing I'm most excited about in this COVID situation is that you have the clients coming back expect change.
Yeah.
And so you can wipe the slate clean and like, those are the things I wanted to do, and I'm going to just do it now. And we did it here. And when we made these changes, we were nervous. Our clients were going to come kicking the door down. So Zach's on the front lines. I don't hear much of it. I hear some of it, but like a third, probably a tenth of what he hears. What has been the reaction, and this is news to me, by the way, what has been the reaction of the clients when you said, hey, we're wiping out team training, everybody's rates are going up, and you just don't get, and we're capping it at 12 people. Like, you can't get in the class, What has the reaction been?
There were some some stressful days. I was questioning our decision.
He's like, I'm gonna go on vacation.
Yeah. We were like, okay, we're gonna raise everybody's rates, and I was like, oh, I think I'm gonna be sick next week. Forgot to tell you. Honestly, it wasn't nearly as bad as I had expected. And we did get it, I did hear it from people, and a couple big blow ups, and but for the most part, little jabs, little comments here and there, that are totally, yeah, it's like, just a little poke, but you just handle it. I mean, it is what it is. And financially, like, it was a good move for us. All the changes that we made have been good moves for us, and the positive far outweighs the negative from a loss in clients. And Tim and I sat there and we crunched the numbers, and we're like, man, if we do this and we lose X amount of people, we're still okay, but we hate to do that.
We're not trying to break even on this deal,
right?
Yeah.
And it worked out, beautifully.
It was
so
probably
far.
based on revenue and our past average per client. It was probably a net gain of, if I do the math right, it was probably a net gain of, like, we signed up 8 or 9 new clients from the changes.
Yeah.
Even though we
Beautiful.
lost one, and then two were going to stay on, but they left town. So we'll call it one. And that's a good deal. I mean, we snapped our fingers.
To have the model and the direction and everything like that you guys are confident in,
We're so confident.
that is, for all possibilities, that's a beautiful situation to find yourselves in.
Yeah.
It's good.
Well, and it's really, in hindsight, advice that I would offer to anybody that hasn't reopened yet, go really, really, really big, and then back off a little bit. Because, like we came out hard. Okay, we're reducing classes down, and we're capping our classes. And then we had this wait list, and people are like, hey, if I can't get in a class, I'm gonna cancel my membership. And it's like, okay, we'll add 3 more slots to the class.
There you go.
So we're still getting what we want. We're still pushing people into the semi-private training. At thinking about it now, I'm like, man, I wish we would have taken away more, and then we could have given a little bit more back.
And we look like the good guys.
And we look like the good guys,
sure.
Well,
and
it's almost like what's happening in the government right now. Not to go into politics. They took all the things away from us, and we're thanking them to give them back.
Yeah.
What's happening here? So take
Right.
a note from the
current situation.
It's almost, we're like so grateful that we got what we already had back, and not everything we got back. A little bit less, but we're happy about it. It's very interesting.
The
how
new
it's like,
normal.
yeah, you can give.
Right there. If I hear one more person
The
say
shaft
it,
of rule.
I know.
you mean normal?
Yeah, the old normal.
You mean life back? Normal?
So it's pretty crazy. So yeah, we made a lot of changes, and so we see semi-private training 6 and 6 per hour, 6 clients with 1 coach, 2 coaches on the floor. We see that as the gold, like. What's the word I'm looking for? That's the perfect model for us. I'll just put it to that way.
Yeah.
I think that's going to carry us through, and we can reduce the square footage, and we can stamp these out and do more and more of these. And we've got real estate plays, and we've got buildings plays, and we've got all kinds of cool stuff in the weeds we're going to eventually get to when it's time to share.
Well, yeah, just from the conversation there, if you're running a business that, every dollar that's coming in, 99 cents is going out the door anyways, you're done. You're stuck. You know what I mean? The only way to get ahead is by adding a lot more of those members, and you're going to cap that at some point anyways.
Yep.
So if you're not focused on the profit that the business is making, the next step for you as a business owner is that you're done. You're stuck. You know what I mean? So focusing on that profit puts a little capital on the side where you as a business owner can now make those decisions.
Make some decisions.
And I think that's really powerful.
Cash flow is the lifeblood of small business. Without cash, you dry up and die. If you have cash, you can make decisions. You don't have to act sporadically
or from desperation.
And we've been there. I mean, we've been tight on cash before. We've been flush with cash, and it's a lot nicer when you've got a lot of cash sitting around that you can make some more like long-term decisions versus we need to fix the problem now. Like, we need more leads today. We don't need that. We just need to run the play.
And I think that speaks to a lot of the gym owners that we talk to, though. You know, how many decisions have been made in those businesses where it's purely based upon the next
life or
month.
death.
Like, if I don't add 15 more clients in the next 30 days, my doors aren't open.
It's
and
a
that's
tough place to be, man.
It is, and
That's
I think that one of the reasons that we're in the seats that we're in, as far as systems and automation, and really focused on the gym owner and the business model and all of these things, as opposed to just focused on leads like we used to be, is these are the things that move the real needle in business. You know, we've talked about it in a past episode. It's great to have awesome gross revenue for an ego, but at the end of the day, the money that you keep, that's where the power lies. And so when you can run a little leaner, reduce, things like you were talking about. I mean, if we don't need this much room,
we don't.
And we could then why pay for something you don't really need?
It's nice, but
yeah, and it's the exact same thing with clientele. You know, why would you have 300 clients when you can make the same amount of money and service 150?
And I'm sure that the relationship, I mean, you guys being in that seat as a trainer too, you have a better connection with each of the people that you speak with. I mean, go back to like class in school, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody liked showing up for a class when there's 45, 50 kids in there. There's no unique individualized attention. You know that you're getting whatever comes across the board and that's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But then you go to, private schools or these where they're increasing the cost for additional value, and you're getting more proprietary time
value,
with the person that's providing it. I think
true. That's true.
I think they're in the long run, you guys are going to have not only better results, because that's the reason we're doing this, but from a business standpoint, but better results for the clientele because of all of that stuff that goes along with it.
And I'll tease, because we're going to bring Jerry and Casey Washek on the show. We just talked to them. They mentioned something, and I'll let them share more, but you've got your space and you've got your product. How can you make, and he said it was great. He goes, Tony Gwynn was an all-star because he made base hits his whole life. Mm-hmm. What are the base hits that you can do in your business that maybe they don't bring in $50,000 a month extra? Maybe they bring in an extra $1,000 or $1,500 a month. Is it an additional service that has just a small uptick? Maybe you're going to open the gym up for general access in your off times, and maybe that's $50 a month, and you get 24 clients on that. That's another $1,000.
A couple of corporate deals, things like that, right?
Yeah.
Utilization.
Yeah, if you're paying your rent the whole time 24/7 and you're closed, during the day, in the middle of the day, why don't you just offer a basic membership? We'll let them dive into that. I thought that was actually pretty cool, because every little thing adds up.
Absolutely.
It adds up over time. So lots of cool changes. We're excited.
Yeah.
I like it.
That's it.
Running faster, leaner.
Yeah. Well, it's it's no more ego here. It's numbers, paper, decisions. Do we love team training clients? I would say yes. It's awesome. Yeah. It's energy's high. There's younger, athletic looking people that are doing amazing things, crushing it. Heart rates are high fives. This is great. And it's going to be tough to put that away, but strictly business, it doesn't make any sense for us. It's unfortunate. And it's easy to sell, and it's a low price point and get a lot of people in. It's like it makes sense for your ego.
Yeah.
And for the business, it doesn't make sense. So
yeah,
for us, we're phasing it out. And and the other side of that is every prospective person out in the street sees a room full of sweaty people in this gym, and a room full of sweaty people in that gym, and a room full of sweaty people at the big box gym in the class, and they think it's all the same thing. Where we were like, no, this is a way different product. They don't see it that way. They just see it as a class. And as soon as you show that to your market, then you're just like everybody else, who's the cheapest place to go to, and you're dead in the water.
We've been talking about that since we used to do the marketing for everybody.
Since day one.
You got to when you claim it, you own it. But you have to present to the marketplace what you do differently. Yep. Otherwise, you are identical to every other option.
The proprietary blend.
Ooh.
All right. Anything else to add?
Good
to go?
Yeah.
All right,
singles.
guys.
Hitting singles.
So, guys, this is your chance. Again, we said it probably the last 5 straight episodes. Get into the weeds in your business. Bring somebody else with a fresh perspective in. Maybe it's one of your head coaches or somebody, or maybe it's a friend or another business owner. Have them look at the numbers. But you have to have the data. We wouldn't be making these decisions if we didn't know the revenue per client, what team training brought in for us, the attendance per class, what hours are the busiest, where we can optimize the revenue per hour. Like none of that we wouldn't have been able to make any of these decisions without that. So get that first, but this is your opportunity. Go make the changes and do them now. And you know what? I guarantee it's going to be better. It's going to be great when you guys open up. So that's it for this episode, guys. Until next show, keep changing lives. We'll see you. Bye.
Bye.